So, PW, we've known each other for a good amount of time, but I don't think I ever heard the story of how you got into One Piece.
Well, there was a time in 2007. I was a tiny lad watching the Fox Box on cable television.
Absolutely based.
A funny rubber man came on the television, and I heard the dopest rap known to mankind. I was immediately hooked.
He's made a rubber!
How did that happen?
Oh, man.
Very good. Very based. I was in a period of time when I was a moody teenager and I hated the rap. Then I became an adult and I said, no, this is bass. Everyone else is wrong.
Yeah.
It's amazing. The edit is a little bit forced by like the original. I appreciate the effort in going back and editing it, adding adding Robin, Brooke, and Jinbei. That was cool. But I do like the original. And the dub actually kind of horrible, but also does not take away from the magic of One Piece, which I find really amazing about this series, because even in the worst of times, it's still better than most things. And that's just fantastic. But tell me, Zakk, how did you get into One Piece?
Have I got a story to tell you? So my One Piece journey is extremely long. It's very, very just like winding, full of ups and downs. But it all began, I believe it was Kids WB, where once again I saw a tiny rubber man, a silly rubber boy on my television. I heard the greatest rap of all time. I also kind of grew up on the Funimation dub, or not the Funimation. I grew up on the 4Kids dub. I thought that the 4Kids dub was like the coolest thing in the world, man. Like, I was still a tiny, tiny baby, so I didn't know any better. But I watched One Piece alongside when I was really, really getting into anime. I started anime because my sister was obsessed with Inuyasha. She was watching that stuff on Toonami.
Based.
And eventually I got into Naruto. And I was obsessed with Naruto for about, let me see, I was 20 years now.
Oh, wow.
But alongside Naruto, I would also watch One Piece. It might have been on Toonami.
Yeah, it was on Toonami for a while. It was
on Toonami for a while, and I believe they actually had the 4Kids dub for a good while.
They did.
And I would watch Naruto and then I would watch One Piece. Yeah, that it's all coming back to me. So I would watch Naruto and One Piece every single week. And while I loved Naruto, I pretty much tolerated One Piece. Like, I still liked it, but I wasn't really, really into it, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because I was that kid that was doing like shadow clone jutsu. I was doing hand seals in the corner, practicing my ninja skills. Like, I was a freak, man. And I loved Naruto more than anything in the world. What's your question?
Did you ninja run? I'm sorry.
I never ninja ran. I mean, I hate to go off topic here, but me and my buddies, we would actually, as a form of like what we did, we would like play fight Naruto. We'd create our own characters and we'd come up with our own rules for how all that kind of stuff went.
Nice.
And then we would actually do like performing jutsus at each other, creating schemes in our head on the fly and all kinds of crazy stuff. Like, me and my buddies, we were absolutely just aboriginal.
That's sick.
We were abnormal. We were horrifying. And when we did all that stuff, yeah, of course we ninja ran. So.
Nice.
But back to the story here.
Yes.
So I was really big into Naruto. I was kind of iffy on One Piece. And eventually, it was right at the end of Alabasta. We go through Jaya, and eventually we go to Skypiea, right?
Right.
And I remember specifically, like vividly in my mind as a child, I remember the scene where Pell grabs that bomb and pulls it over the skies of Alabasta and it explodes. I remember that vividly. Eventually we got to Skypiea. And all of a sudden, something very strange happened. Everyone sounds different. I can't explain why, but everyone's sounding a little bit different. Sanji no longer sounds really cool. He just sounds like a guy. And I hated One Piece.
Oh, no.
They ruined my show.
No.
And I quit watching for 10 years.
No way.
Yes.
No.
I had completely cut One Piece out of my life.
Really?
Maybe not 10 years. I think it was because I was 7th grade. I got back into One Piece like my senior year of high school. So what is that? 5 years?
Yeah.
So I cut One Piece out of my life for 5 years.
Goodness.
And it was my junior year of high school. It was my very, very last summer vacation. I was like, I have 3 months. I had already gotten to the point of Naruto where I stopped caring. I got through the pain fight and I went, this is the end of the series for me.
And that's
in
correct.
my previous year, so my sophomore to junior year summer vacation, I had sat down and I decided to read an entire manga front to back. And that manga was Bleach.
Really?
And I got to the point where Ichigo defeated Aizen, and I went, this is the end of the series for me. I'm done. My final... Go on.
No, to your credit, it kind of is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Bleach definitely is.
Yeah.
You cannot convince me... You can't convince me otherwise that Aizen is not the final villain.
Because it's
stupid to bring in anyone other than him. He was the villain from the literal start of the series, man.
It literally doesn't make any sense. But yeah, okay, yes.
So, my final summer vacation, I go, I'm going to do it. I look up the time. I have to watch 70 hours of One Piece. And I did start with the anime. I got all the way through it. And I sat down and over the course of about 3 weeks, I did nothing but wake up, watch One Piece, and go to bed. Dedication. I think it was at the point where I realized that Syrup Village was awesome.
It's based.
That I realized that I kind of liked this series. It wasn't until Water 7 that I realized that I loved the series.
Water 7 is...
It wasn't until Eni's Lobby that I was obsessed. Rob Lucci, for my 17-year-old brain, was the coolest thing to ever happen to me.
He's cool.
He was the man.
He's so cool.
He's so cool. He's like this cool assassin guy going undercover as a shipbuilder. He's got a cool parrot on his shoulder. He murders hundreds of people coldly as his job. He's got the scar of the world government flag on his back, man.
And he's a cat man.
He's a cat man. He's the coolest guy.
Oh.
The moment I saw Rob Lucci, I went, this is my favorite villain in anime. This is the best thing. And I kept going with that. Eventually I caught up, and I caught up in, I believe it was the middle of, it was like right after Marineford, I think. I had finished Marineford, and then I stopped watching and I started reading. Because by the time that I truly caught up, it was 2012.
Oh.
I believe 2012. So by the time that I had finally finished, I had just gotten through Marineford, and I saw an image. It was all of the Straw Hats, all of my boys that I had spent so much time getting to know and love in their new designs.
Oh, yeah, baby.
And I hated Frankie.
No!
I hated Frankie's design so much that I started reading the manga because I had to know more.
Fair. You know what? You're not alone in that. A lot of people did not like his design when it first happened. I remember that.
Dude, his original design
is
so good.
It's clean.
It's so clean.
It's clean. I won't argue.
It's so clean.
It's valid. Valid take. Valid.
Also have to keep in mind, I was a petulant 17-year-old at the time.
No, 17-year-old Zakk was right.
17-year-old Zakk didn't understand Kino. He didn't understand what it meant to be super. 30-year-old Zakk understands that Time Skip Frankie is based and awesome and good in every conceivable way. I would hunt myself down a football field if I could.
I will say the funny ball shoulders look great in the suit.
Oh, so good.
Oh, when he's
Dressrosa Frankie has never looked better.
Oh, he's so good.
So I saw that and I went, you know what? I believe it's time. Summer vacation ends. Fall rolls around and I convert. I start reading the manga. I read the manga all the way through Fishman Island.
Very nice.
I get one full arc of weekly One Piece, right?
Right.
And by the end of Fishman Island, I had just spent an entire summer catching up with One Piece. I had spent the next half a year reading it weekly. I was so tired. I was so burned out, but I want to keep on trucking, right? I'm so far into this and I have to make it work. And then Punk Hazard happens and I'm already burned out at this point. I'm like, Punk Hazard is whatever, but it's fine. It's fine. I can get through Punk Hazard. I'm sure that the next arc is going to be incredible. We've spent the last two setting up for this big climactic duel with this Yonko emperor person, big me, mom, whatever. Surely the arc after Punk Hazard is going to be great to experience weekly. Surely it's not going to be 100 chapters of Dressrosa.
Oh.
I dropped One Piece.
No.
I had dropped it again before I got to experience God Usopp.
Oh. Brother.
And I did not pick it up again for years.
How many?
I don't know for sure, but I dropped it at the start of Dressrosa.
I don't blame you though, even back then. Because like Dressrosa's a weird one because you do get a few character moments, but it's a slog in a bit of a narrative device to introduce what will become the Grand Fleet. Though,
yeah.
There are some Kino moments.
Please do more with the Grand Fleet.
Yeah.
Dressrosa has a lot of great stuff.
It does. It does.
It didn't need to be 100 chapters.
No. Can I say though, this is controversial. Law's probably one of the worst parts of Dressrosa.
I can't help it, man. I like Law.
That's fine.
I like Law.
That's fine.
I don't hate there's a lot of people that there's a lot of people that either love Law, they view him as the second coming of Christ, or they hate Law more than anything because he is a Gary Stu. I like Law. Law's got potential.
I'm very 50% on Law because I like him. I like his powers. I like what he does. I don't like that he has 5,600 powers. That's a little wild to me.
True, but
it's thematic though. I get it. I get it though. But go on.
Yeah, the whole thing about Law is like. When it comes to One Piece, I don't come to One Piece for the power scaling. I don't come to One Piece for the fights, right?
Right now.
I come to One Piece for these grand adventures with these goofy friends.
Exactly.
And when Law is put into the mix, Law is... a lot of people consider Zoro the typical anime shonen protagonist who has to live in this Tom and Jerry world. I view Law as a more extreme version of that. Law takes everything so seriously.
Law was
and then there's a panel where he has to wear Chopper as a hat.
Yeah, baby.
And everyone's laughing at him. It's the best thing that's ever happened to Law. And I want more of that.
It's very... You know what? I'll say this. Law is better in a group than by himself.
Yeah.
Also,
because I saw Law for the first time in Sabaody Archipelago, right?
Right, true.
I loved him so much. The coolest guy to ever exist off his design alone. He made such an impact on me. I commissioned a giant picture, a poster board of him to be of just his face. And to this day, it hangs on my wall.
That's based. You've told me that many times before. It's very cool. You all need to see it. It's very cool.
It's really good. But
go on.
So Dressrosa, I cut cold turkey.
Man.
I'm done. It just doesn't have the spark anymore. I was weak. I was trying to do high school stuff. I had just graduated.
Yeah.
I needed to work a job. Destiny came out and I wanted to play that.
Yeah.
Things happened and I quit for a long, long time. Years. Eventually, I was trolling around YouTube
Yeah.
And I found this guy. He used to make Bleach content, but eventually he switched over to One Piece. And he was making weekly reviews of the newest chapters. I went, you know what? I haven't seen One Piece in a while. I wonder what's going on with this. And I started watching Tekking 101.
Nice.
I was in a really dark place in my life at the time. I had just moved away from my state of origin. I was going through some crazy adventurous stuff, but very scary changes in life. And the thing that kept me grounded was this funny guy that had an exuberance for life. He loved One Piece in the same way that I loved One Piece back when I read it. And it convinced me to sit down one day and catch up. I read all of Punk Hazard again. I read all of Dressrosa. I blitzed through Whole Cake Island and I realized, oh my goodness, why could I ever stop? I never realized. No one ever told me that One Piece has its best arc 20 years into its lifetime.
True.
No one ever told me. And it's so good.
And it's
Whole Cake is the best thing ever.
It's got everything.
Just the best. And I'm fully reinvigorated with life. I love One Piece again. Everything is incredible. And I finally caught back up. I can now read weekly. I'm excited. Do you know when I caught up?
Oh, when?
Chapter 2 of Wano.
Oh.
Thus begins the 4-year slog.
Oh, no. Oh.
Of me agonizing over this arc. And so we come to today.
Well, the thing about, you know what? It's so interesting, though. Not to wait. I'm not.
That's the end of my story. You can go.
All right. To add a bit onto my story, I after my adventures in watching the anime on television, I started watching YouTube a lot because this is around 2007. This is when the internet first started, like,
right when YouTube was starting to get popular. Yeah,
and I had dial-up internet because
based.
Yeah. And then the fan sub boys were around, so I got to see Water 7 in the anime. Oh, I love Frankie a lot. Oh, Frankie's good. I love Popeye growing up, so this was right up my alley. Oh, yes.
Absolutely.
Popeye the Sailor Man is dope. I love Frankie so much. I listen to, what's the song called? I think it's by Aqua. It's an AMV. It's called Superman. It just has a bunch of Frankie clips over it. It's amazing.
I know Kryptonite by Three Doors Down, but I don't think that's the same song.
No, but that fits too. I love Frankie. I love the funny square-haired sisters that he hung out with.
Oh, yeah.
I love Coupe DeVent. Water 7 is probably up there for one of my favorite time skip arcs. But then I kept
love Water 7.
It's good. But then something happened.
My God.
I started reading the manga. And then by the time I'm in high school, all of the boys that I hung out with, they're all into Naruto. I got out of Naruto super early.
Yeah.
I got out earlier than most because what happened was the anime started that famous 100 episode filler point before Shippuden. I was not about that. I love Hinata, but her fighting a giant bee just didn't matter. So I started reading the manga rather.
Yeah.
I see Jet Gatling is the best thing in the world.
Oh my God, man.
Oh, it's so good. He falls, but he grits his teeth, and then he just goes for his arms explode. And he
it's the best thing, man. It's so good.
It's so good, the effort. And it's even better in the anime. Oh, it's so good. I love CP9. I love Bluno. I love Khalifa. I love Funkuro and his weird zipper mouth that kind of makes him a cyborg, but not really.
I love more than anything Usopp.
Usopp doing that arc is great. The whole thing.
Usopp, that moment where Luffy's on the ground and Usopp has to take off the mask and he has to go, Luffy, this is not the captain that I chose to follow. Stand up and beat this man to death.
Oh, it's amazing.
It is the greatest thing that has ever happened. It's so good.
It's so good. Also, I reread the fight between him and Luffy. Usopp is amazing.
Yes.
Usopp is crazy.
I love that fight so much, man.
He's effective. And you know what's weird? He pays attention. He paid attention the entire time. No, he's the first one who does that. And then, very fun fact, this is the first time where Luffy says to somebody, would you stop joking around and get serious? Opponents usually say that to him. He says that to Usopp, and he says...
Because Luffy is the villain!
It's so good, and Usopp is like, I'm always serious. I'm like...
Yes!
And he almost wins. That's the crazy part. Because he knows everything.
The only thing that stopped Usopp from winning is the fact that he didn't consider that Luffy does not take bludgeoning or shock damage.
No. And he's a freakish super. That is terrifying. He takes a gum bullet to the gut, though, which is crazy. Because that just kills people normally. But yeah, I love it. Oh, Usopp. So that's when I really fell in love with Usopp, I think.
I love Usopp.
Because
for a good amount of time, Usopp, because Sanji was always my favorite.
Fair.
I love Sanji.
This is a Sanji Boys podcast, by the way, if you're listening.
But do you remember what happened in Fishman Island and the following arcs?
Oh.
Do you remember what they did to my son?
Oh, no.
The Sanji slander was so ridiculous.
Online, it was
Oda himself.
It was a crazy time. It was bad.
I started becoming an Usopp boy.
Oh, wow.
Usopp was getting God Usopp. He was getting that really funny moment with Sugar where he shot his face at her and she died. Usopp was the man. And I was like, dude, has Usopp always been the best character?
Also, he's got two...
And then... Go on.
He's got two different degrees of arsenal. Because he's still got all his normal stuff. But then he's got the pop greens. It's crazy, but go on.
We still have no idea what the pop greens do. Because he's never had to test himself with them. But beside that point, so for a while, I was an Usopp guy. I was like, you know what? It's over, Sanji. You're no longer my favorite character. And then Whole Cake happened. I went, oh, wait, no, this is my favorite character of anything ever.
Whole Cake is so good.
I love Sanji more than life itself.
I wish Zoro got that for Wano, but nope.
Would have been nice, but get out of here, Zoro Chuds.
Get on.
Sanji lads, keep winning.
I don't think I've ever read a piece of fiction as clean and as clear cut as Whole Cake. It's just good.
I wouldn't even say Whole Cake is entirely clean or whole cut. There's a good amount of Whole Cake that could be cut.
Fair.
But the biggest difference between Whole Cake and other arcs that decide to drag is that Whole Cake is like 72 chapters long.
That's fair.
Dressrosa is 100. Wano is 150.
And then, too, in Whole Cake, there's just a lot of interesting stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
And there are interesting, like, all of Big Mom's children are all very interesting.
They're all great. The entirety, can you imagine growing up in a less than ideal household?
Oh.
Can you imagine having to fight with your siblings for the attention of practically a single parent?
Oh.
Can you imagine teaming up with siblings to either get bullied or bully your other siblings to put them down so that you can become the greatest in the eyes of Mama?
Oh.
Can you imagine what a young Zakk was feeling when he experienced the tale of pudding for the first time?
Oh, and this is why the manga is good, because it hits people on a very human level.
Holy mother of God, it's insane.
Yeah.
If you have ever had any kind of dysfunction in your family whatsoever, you will love Whole Cake Island. Because it, like, you know, as my hero Leia Organa said, it's all about family, and that's what it's all about.
Also, like, being Katakuri. Like, being... Oh my goodness gracious. I love
Katakuri so much.
unironic. Like this is the only time where I was reading the manga where I wanted Luffy to lose.
Yeah.
I swear.
Have you heard the recent slander? Have you heard the recent slander against Katakuri?
What is it?
Do you know what people are saying about Katakuri?
What?
Okay, do you remember the end of that fight, where the entire purpose of that fight was to prove that Katakuri was better than Luffy in every conceivable way, but one, willpower.
Yes, he didn't have the heart to continue.
Katakuri is a guy who has never lost a fight.
Exactly.
Katakuri is a guy who has never laid on his back in his life.
No.
Or at least that's what he wants people to think.
Right.
Katakuri is a guy who has never had to deal with extremely strenuous situations. Why? Because Katakuri was born a genius of fighting. He's always been strong. He's Big Mom's most powerful son.
Yes.
He's never had to work for a victory in a fight before.
Especially not against somebody who has a similar skill set to him.
It doesn't even matter about the similar skill set. Katakuri has never been pushed to that limit before.
True.
Luffy is always being pushed to that limit. But what's the thing about mochi?
It gets
You
pounded.
can push it, you can mold it, you can pound it, and it's malleable. You can shape it into something new. But what's the thing about rubber?
It bounces back, baby!
It bounces back, baby!
Yes. Also,
And so Katakuri stands up, Luffy stands up, Katakuri falls down. Of statement.
And
What were you saying?
Oh, no. Okay, yeah. It also speaks to how adaptable Katakuri was in the fight, because he matches properties of Mochi, so that makes a ton of sense. But yes.
Yeah. He's adaptable, he's formable, but he can also be changed real easily.
Katakuri.
Rubber always bounces back.
Yes, always.
Do you know what people are saying right now?
What are they saying?
People are saying that Katakuri looked into the future and saw Gear 5, and that's why he gave up.
No one says that, Zakk. These are lies. I can't believe you.
You would be surprised.
For real. You're not pulling my leg.
People are saying that Katakuri looked multiple minutes into the future and saw what would happen if he killed Luffy.
That's a very interesting theory, but that's insane.
It's a very stupid theory that completely spits in the face of that entire fight.
It does, though. It really does. Because
It is horrible.
Because I think now people are loring too hard and not looking at the narrative context of the situation at that time.
Yeah.
Which, and then he wasn't even the opponent for that. But okay.
It makes me so irate. It makes me so mad when people try to water down my boy.
Yeah, it's much. Because I'm trying to think, how would you even, he's not even the opponent. I guess I'm having trouble because, like, I know the context. So,
yeah.
So it's hard to see that from another person's point of view of why they would think that would happen. That's very strange, though. But no, it's slander. Go on.
It's slander against Katakuri, and I will not stand for it.
It's terrible slander. Also, that's why it's dumb, because Katakuri wasn't invincible. He was just very good. So that even Kaido is invincible. That's his whole shtick. That's the whole gimmick. So you need to take down the practicality of Kaido with something ridiculous. That's what Gear 5 was all about.
An awakening to defeat Kaido after having half of the earth mog him for days makes sense.
Also, it makes sense to where, like, Luffy is what he is not. Kaido will never awaken his fruit because theoretically he is not the carp that swam over the waterfall to become the dragon. He's waiting to be defeated. Therefore, he's not really in tune with his fruit, if you want to see it like that. Whereas Luffy is a silly rubber boy and has been that way since the start of the series, bringing smiles to everyone he meets. Therefore, he coincides with the spirit that's within the fruit. So thematically, it makes sense that he would be over Kaido in this point, because he's working hard to bring smiles to the people of Wano through Kaido's defeat. I don't think people
It doesn't make the defeat any less good, though. It's bad and poopy, and I don't like it.
Gear 5 is such a mixed bag.
Well, Gear 5 is really good. I love everything about Gear 5 except for the final clash. I wanted so much for the clash to not be like, there's been a lot of different fights in One Piece.
True.
There's been a lot of different ways that Luffy has defeated his opponents, but at the end of the day, usually Luffy wins by hitting his opponent with a bigger fist or more fists.
Yeah.
Like, Luffy just does a stronger move and wins for the majority of his fights.
Yeah.
But when you see Kaido falling out of a sky island, and you see the cuts in the page to simulate just how far this man is falling in an attempt to commit suicide, slams on the ground and goes, "Good gosh, diddly dong dang it, I failed again."
Yeah.
That is the best way to introduce Kaido. And when you see that introduction, the first thing that you think is not, oh, he's gonna get punched really hard and die.
Yeah, that's weird. It is weird.
That's my real big issue with the Kaido fight. Because there's a lot of great stuff in the Kaido fight, but I just wanted, I don't even know what I wanted. Maybe I wanted like an Oars Jr. or an Oars again. Zombie Oars.
Yeah.
Where Kaido had to be defeated by ingenuity and teamwork to prove that the Straw Hat crew is better than a Yonko. Maybe I wanted that, but I guess the story needed Luffy himself to be better than a Yonko.
And
because the last arc was Luffy being better than the second in command, I guess.
Yeah, the first commander.
So where do we go from there?
Yeah.
Where do we go from there except defeating a Yonko?
Low key.
Which I guess.
Yeah.
Go on.
I mean, not to cut you off, I apologize. It's like it makes sense. I think now it's kind of a bit superfluous to have Zoro cut Kaido a little bit because it doesn't really amount to anything. I mean, it cements him as
I didn't believe in ZKK. I didn't believe in Zoro killing Kaido. I wanted Zoro to at least help in killing Orochi.
Yeah.
They set that up!
Yeah, they did. A little bit. They did.
A little bit?
Yeah, they did. A lot of it, actually.
Orochi murdered Yasuie, and Zoro looked at him and said, "I'm going to kill you."
Yeah.
And then he didn't.
Yeah.
Then he did not at all.
Yeah, it was like right there. No, that's an accurate depiction.
I am so mad with how they handled Orochi because literally everybody in the verse had beef with this guy.
Awesome.
Why is it that Denjiro is the only one allowed to kill him?
Yeah, I do like that his death is a little pathetic and he does just die to his cronies' incompetence. Because
I agree with that.
Kanjuro burns him alive. I think that's very funny. Have you heard? Have you heard the theories about what's going to happen?
What theories?
The theories that are going to happen with his fruit.
Kanjuro's fruit?
No, Orochi's fruit.
Or Orochi's fruit? No.
That Teach is going to eat it.
Ooh.
I hate that theory, though. I hate it so much.
I don't even know what Teach would do with that fruit.
Because you're just a big, like, multi-headed serpent. You don't even get powers.
Yeah, and you could die a bunch of times, I guess.
Yeah. I guess it's good because it's kind of like it works like it works like Luffy's fruit. That feels dirty to say, but yeah, it works like Luffy's fruit. And
the Orochi fruit?
Yeah, because the regeneration's on all the time.
I guess?
You know how like Luffy's rubber all the time?
Yeah.
Like because there was a time in which Kaido cut Orochi's head off when he was in his human state.
Yeah, and then he grew it back because he technically has 9 more.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah, so it's like, it's constant.
We still don't know exactly what happened there, but you know what? I don't need a full explanation.
Yeah. It's just a weird fruit because your fruit is just to get cut up and live kind of a certain number. It's very, very odd. I don't care for it. It feels very...
It feels underwhelming for a mythical Zoan, but it makes sense for Orochi to have a mythical Zoan and feel underwhelming.
That's what I'm getting to, too. It's like more of like a narrative fruit than something to be bombastic and cool.
Yeah.
Like the narrative significance is that he's a snake that you can't really stomp out easy.
And I grew up playing Okami, so I understand that the Orochi being the final villain doesn't make sense, so it's fine.
Yeah, but yeah, Wano is a mixed bag. It's like you get the cashews and the candy corn together, but then you find a weird milk dud in there.
I would say Wano is about 50 chapters of incredible stuff.
Yes.
Stretched out to 150 chapters of actual arc.
Yeah.
I think that we could cut 100 chapters from Wano and then add another 20 chapters to specifically Onigashima, and it would be incredible.
Because I like Yamato. I forgot. I know you have do you have issues with her?
I have some I'm mixed on Yamato.
Fair, that's fair. Cause I think
I don't hate Yamato. I hate what Yamato represents.
Yeah. I think she needed more time. So
I think she needed less time.
Really? Cause I can see your point on that because we were with the Scabbards for such a long time, and then when we get to the climax of when they're supposed to do the cool stuff,
it's Yamato every week.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. I can't deny.
And then we finish the arc, and we have 6 chapters of Yamato going, "I'm joining the crew." Just kidding.
That's wild.
Dude, you wasted our month you wasted our time for 2 months, Oda.
It's crazy. That's a little crazy.
That's my issue with Yamato. I got nothing against the character. I have everything against the way that she was used.
And I don't even mind her in crew dynamics. Theoretically, it's just I don't get this build up. No, I get the build up. It's to be like Odin, but
yeah.
Because I keep saying there's probably gonna be a cover story with her bumming around Wano, but what is that gonna accomplish? It just feels gone.
What is the point of Yamato wanting to be like Odin?
That's what I'm lost at.
What does it accomplish in the story?
I don't actually get it.
They didn't even use that ideal to get Yamato closer to Momo.
Well, I mean,
Odin's son.
Well, he did get close to her in another way, but we're not going to talk about that here.
In another way, but that doesn't matter. We're talking general. If we're talking general narrative stakes,
yeah.
If we're talking the general building blocks of a narrative, character interaction clicking together. If you have a character that wants to be like this character that happens to be the father of another character, and you put those 2 characters together in the narrative, then you, I guess, do nothing with that, and Luffy punches Kaido, and that's the end of it.
Yeah, and then Yamato's supposed to be the guardian of Wano, but not really, because Momo's big pink dragon. So
listen, I don't even care about Yamato not being the guardian of Wano. Yamato was supposed to be the guardian of Wano.
Right.
She had that thrust upon her.
Right.
From eating a devil fruit. If she wants to go, no, I don't want that. Great.
No, that makes sense.
Go against the mold. That's awesome. But she was simultaneously that and not that at the same time.
Yeah, because I mean, like you said, there's no real context as to her being Odin. It didn't really go anywhere, nor did it go into a dream.
Nothing about Yamato went anywhere.
Which is weird. Because
Oda has done so much more with so much less time with so many characters.
Bringing it back to the One Piece story off of that, when I started reading One Piece, what the first arc I read all the way through?
What was it?
Thriller Bark.
Oh, gifted.
Thriller Bark is so blessed. And on to that point, you find out I've reread it for various videos I've made. There is so much about Brook that people don't talk about. The whole the whole battle convoy thing, the fact that he's perfected this technique to a point, and then his convoy mates named the technique after him. There's so much in like every scene that he's in. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So it's so weird in modern One Piece where you give characters like Yamato that there's a lot that could be said, but it's not being said.
Nothing is being said with Yamato. It's outrageous just how little is being said with Yamato. Because I think Yamato is a great concept.
She is.
The child of Kaido wants to be a man that he killed.
Fascinating.
Incredible.
Also,
what do we do with that?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Also, the logbook is the center of her world. I'm going to make a video about that in the future, but it's just weird that didn't spiral off into other interests.
Yeah.
To build her character. Like, you would think like she would just make a diary of her day or whatever. It doesn't turn into that, which is so alien to me. Because usually, like with Nami, for example, Nami was making maps on her own before the slavery happened, which is bad.
Yeah.
But still, there's a point of interest there that spun off into another thing that spun off to what we have now. It's just a sequence of events just seems to be lost. And I don't think we're going to get that
every
back.
Every character seems to have a dream that is based off of their own interests, their own character. The thing about Yamato is that Yamato has a dream that is a slave to the narrative and nothing else. That's why people dislike Yamato.
And I have to agree to that point.
Because Yamato's got a lot of potential. I like Yamato. I want to like Yamato. But what do we do with her? Waste time that could be used to give Sanji another chapter fighting Queen.
Or give Nami anything, doing anything.
To let Nami and Usopp fight Page 1 and Ulti. We were robbed.
Very robbed.
And I blame Yamato.
Oh, no. Well, yeah, that's...
amongst a lot of other things.
But yeah. But no, yeah.
There is a lot of wasted time in Wano. It's hilarious. When, like, have you reread Wano after the fact?
I have not recently, no.
I've been rereading Wano. It is hilarious just how much wasted time there is.
Because I remember you talking about this to me in another conversation, how we set up the gifters as a big threat, but then we have our local superhuman of unfathomable proportions, Monkey D. Luffy, just barrel through all of them.
Let's think about this a different way. We spent 3 arcs setting up the gifters as a threat to the entire world. And the only person that any of them fights is the man who has to be a Yonko by the end of this arc. There is one scene in the anime that made me realize this. There's a scene that they added. It's filler. It's not real. But there is a scene where Hold'em fights Ashura Doji, and Hold'em beats his... And I went, this is what we need!
Yeah.
We need Hold'em to be anything!
Yeah. Also, they gave...
He's got a card name! They gave him a card name.
They did.
He should be on the level of one of the Toby Ropo.
Yeah. Also, he's a lion.
He jobs
in
a single hit to Luffy
with a fire move.
And why shouldn't he? Luffy has to kill Kaido.
Exactly. Also, you remember how in the anime Batman had hockey? What was that about?
What was that about? That was crazy.
But no, yeah, you're absolutely right.
I could complain about Wano so much, man, because I've been rereading it. You remember the very start of Wano?
Yeah.
And how incredible it was at setting the stakes.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember the start of this arc where everyone is separated? Luffy is by himself. He helps a struggling little girl, a native of this land, against invaders trying to capture her for some means. After he saves this child, this Otama, this individual, brings Luffy back to her house and in gratitude gives him a bowl of rice. Luffy eats it. He's very thankful. And then he asks for more. He asks for more P-dubs. And Tama says, I'm sorry. That's all we got. Luffy is very much visually dejected by this. He hates that he can't eat a crazy amount of food for saving a life. This is the worst thing that's happened to Luffy today. And he almost lost his life. But it's fine. Tama decides to go off into the woods for some undisclosed reason. And Luffy is almost murdered by some Tengu-faced individual who said, how dare you? How dare you eat that rice? That 8-year-old child is given one meal a year for her birthday, and it was that rice that you didn't even appreciate. Everything about the land of Wano is so perfectly reinforced in that moment. Tama is an irrelevant character that could have been cut entirely. That's why I don't like Wano.
Yeah.
Because do you know how we could have made this arc about 50 chapters shorter?
Pray tell.
If Luffy showed up into a town, was given a plate full of rice, was attacked by a laughing man that said, how dare you eat Otoko's one meal a year?
I can see it. Though, I'm trying to think. Is the dango fruit that important?
No.
Okay.
No. Do you know why the dango fruit is important? Because it gave us the idea that tides were shifting because they got a whole bunch of jobbers on their side.
Whom didn't matter in the
Straw
first
Hats. The Straw Hats are a Yonko crew. The point of Wano was to prove that the Straw Hats could compete with a Yonko crew as a Yonko crew.
Yeah, no, you're right.
We don't need the dango fruit because that didn't even have any visual effect on whatever fight they were having. Chopper had way more of an impact than Tama ever could have.
Yeah, throughout the entire, because he fixes the ice demon virus, he fixes the mummy virus.
And then everyone says, this man just saved our lives, we are dedicating ourselves to him. That is so much better than whatever the hell Tama was doing.
True, and it plays into Chomper's dream of curing all diseases because he's actually up against alien disease. No, yeah.
And it also robbed us of Usopp and Nami fighting Page 1 and Ulti. I will never forgive Oda.
I don't
until I see that in print.
I don't get why they did Page 1 so dirty throughout the entire arc. He gets mollywopped by Sanji in his cool raid suit.
He doesn't though. It doesn't though. That's the glorious thing about Page 1. Sanji goes raid suit mode. Sanji uses his absolute maximum full power. And he can't even beat the 8th strongest member of Kaido's forces.
Oh, true, because he does get back up. Fair.
He gets back up! Sanji didn't do anything to him!
That's a good point. Wow. No, I forgot about that. No, that's true.
That was an incredible moment for Page 1! Because Sanji went absolutely crazy on him, and he wasn't even affected! How are we gonna defeat Kaido's forces? I guess we'll just punch him harder!
But then that does play...
It makes me so mad!
But wait, hold on. That does set up for later. That does show that the power of the raid suit really doesn't matter. And it is what's inside.
It doesn't, yeah.
Yeah, that is from a cool narrative point. However, it does put Page 1 in a very different light, now that you mention it. That, how do you beat Kaido's forces? What?
It was a great way. It was a great way to show off the absolute power of Kaido's forces, because Kaido had not gotten nearly enough of that during the course of the arc. Kaido's forces felt weak in comparison to the absolute dominance of Big Mom.
Right.
Luffy got killed. Monkey D. Luffy was killed by Opera.
Yeah. That's crazy, though. Also, tag team by his brothers, Opera's brothers, the other big dudes.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Do you remember that one of them just like checked gear third and like blocked it or parried it? That's insane.
Yeah. They're not even one of the Sweet Commanders.
No.
And they could do that.
Also,
That's a Yonko crew right there.
That's a Yonko crew. With basic hockey, just parries it. Oh my goodness.
That is what a Yonko crew should feel like.
Yeah, it should.
Kaido's crew doesn't get enough of those moments because Kaido's crew almost exclusively has to fight Luffy to set up the power level. Page one was a great introduction. One of the best in Kaido's crew. Page one shows up, fights Sanji, and fights him to a draw until Sanji has to retreat and run away. The third strongest, the monster trio, couldn't take out page one. Luffy then, when storming Onigashima, looks at ulti one time and goes, I gotta go gear fourth for this. This is crazy.
And that's what.
Do you remember that?
Yes. That's
He looked at ulti once and said, I have to go gear fourth, and Zoro had to stop him. Page one and ulti were the most hyped members of Kaido's crew by a long shot.
Man.
Even more than Queen.
Yeah.
And Queen took out Big Mom.
Yeah.
And what did we do with them? What did we do with them?
Page one just gets
nothing.
Nothing. Because page one gets checked by Big Mom, and then OT loses the fight.
Also gets checked by Big Mom. I don't care if Nami got the final hit. Ulti got killed by Big Mom too.
True. With a worse attack.
We were robbed.
No, fair. Which just shows you how durable Ulti is. She took, a miser cannon?
Yeah.
Ow.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
I wanted to see that fight. So excited for that fight. Every week I would wake up happy in the knowledge that Usopp and Nami were going to get a tag fight against the most overhyped members of Kaido's crew. It was going to be the best thing in the world. But here we are. In a world where we didn't get that.
But at least we have funny angel babies in Egghead.
I do love the Seraphim.
They're good.